Hi everyone. Looking at reviewing now the data from October 2019. I've had a good month. I've enjoyed it. More positives than negatives. Certainly, I'm up on profit by some of the trades that I've been doing. Have a look at what I've come up with in terms of the data and charts that I'm going to show you. It's going to be a mixture of charts and graphs and just taking a look at what I feel is the best way to trade in a football game, and that really is looking at goals and not really looking at the teams in particular. I like to enter the market and get out of the market at certain times and using the goal data. So see what you think. Um, Agree with me, disagree with me, but I think it's quite interesting to have a look at just when the goals going in and who is doing well in terms of their expected goals too. The form is beginning to come through now. It's 10 games into the Premiership campaign for 2019-2020, and form is now beginning to certainly develop after 10 games. Have a look, see what you think. Speak to you soon. Right, data for October 2019. Start by looking at the first goal scorers in a match. 10 games gone, so they're all derivatives of 10 on the percentages. You can see there Manchester City 80%, Chelsea and Man U. That's quite a good one, Man U, because normally they start at quite a high price. So if their goal goes in first, then you can normally cash out for a good profit on that, or from what I could see anyway. Watford as well, you can go against them if the odds are relatively even. Say if they're playing a team like looking at that, say Aston Villa or Bournemouth. If Watford were playing Villa or Bournemouth, I would certainly back Bournemouth to score first. So good little chart there, just showing whereabouts the first scorers are, with the idea of backing that team and then laying if the first goal goes in. Moving on, these are the percentages of games that are 2.5 goals and above. So if you're into your 2.5 goal markets, then this is something that I think will be of interest to you. On this side here, on the left hand side, it's for all matches involving all teams, so all the games that have been played so far. Interestingly, looking at that, look, this goes, all the 50% cut off here is just below Brighton. So 50% of Brighton's games that they've played in have had more than 2.5 goals. So Brighton are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12th in that list of 20. But the one that I like to look at is on this side. These are all the games, there's 14 teams there, because these are all the games that do not involve the top 6. Right, it's when these teams are playing against each other, and you can see then it's only the top 4 that are above 50%, and it's only really Bournemouth who are, and Bournemouth and Leicester, who are showing anything near any sort of like relative form in scoring above 2.5 goals. So if you take out Bournemouth and Leicester and just have a look at the rest of the teams, the chances of these games finishing more than 2.5 goals certainly are more often than not finishing below 2.5 goals. So there's certainly a chance there to make a bit of money purely through mathematical analysis about what is actually going on. All the games. This is XG versus total goals. XG in blue, total goals in the browny orangey colour. Towards this side of the graph, it's basically showing the teams that have been scoring more goals than what they're expected to. The team on the extreme left has got the biggest gap between their expected goals and the actual amount of goals that they've scored. Leicester, after their 9-0 demolition of Southampton the other night, obviously very, very strongly on this side. Also, Spurs there, yeah, okay, that's good, a good little gap, but for them to be performing at top 6 level, I would expect that XG bar to be higher. I would expect the XG bar to be up here somewhere, not down there. The two teams that stand out as being successful are Liverpool and Chelsea. Certainly they're creating a lot of chances and they're taking them, alright, and scoring a lot of goals. They're virtually identical there as to how they're actually playing. Man City, they're victims of their own success, really. Look, their XG is slightly higher than their actual amount of goals, but look at that, it's way above anything that any other team is actually near to. Well, they've so far in the first 10 games, they've scored above 30 goals and they've created enough chances to score above 30 goals. The other one that stands out for me is on this side, and it's Manchester United. They are creating the chances. If you look here, okay, you've got over 15 or so, that's about 17 goals in terms of created. So if you look, that is the 4th highest blue bar. Okay, so in terms of XG data, they are the 4th best side. They're just not taking their chances. They're creating them, but they're not taking them. Is that Ole's fault? That's what the board have got to decide. Is it Ole or is it the players? You know, that's the beauty of football. Fans have their own opinion on certain things, but interesting looking at that. Watford, right there on the right hand side again. They're changed the manager and they're still not really firing. I would say, I've mentioned before in one of my videos about backing them for relegation. It certainly isn't going very well for them at the moment. Okay, here we go then with looking at the scatter that I do. And the one thing that's noticeable for October is the fact that there are teams falling out of this quadrant, the top left quadrant. Remember, this axis here, the horizontal axis, is the home games. So if you are on this side, okay, that means that your home form, you are scoring more goals than what were expected. On this side, below that horizontal line, you're not. The away with the vertical axes, if you're on this side of the away line, you are not really putting your chances away from home, and if you're on this side, then you are. So only 3 teams in the quadrant where you really want to be. Leicester again, you know, again, these big wins can skew the data a little bit, but the team that is performing probably the best at the moment is Liverpool. Manchester City is down here. This little clump here, this one here I put at Bournemouth, this one here is Villa, this one is Palace, and this one is Newcastle. Chelsea doing well at home, but away from home, not really putting away their chances. The teams in here, you've got Brighton, West Ham, Everton, Southampton, Watford. So these are the 5 teams who, you know, some people might be surprised to see West Ham there. All right, they're creating the chances, but they're not putting them away, both at home and away. But these are the ones, you know, Marco Silva. That's all I'll say about that one. I think he's under pressure at the moment, and again, reiterating our worries about Watford not really performing at the moment. Okay, looking at the goal times now. This is for all games. You know, again, it's 31 to 40 minute mark that, or time zone that is is the one in which I would trade the 2.5 goal market. What I mean by that is, in the run up to that, if it stays at 0-0, I would trade the 2.5 goal market, backing it on 30 minutes and then coming out on 40 minutes. But this next chart is really going to show you why it's important to actually analyse subsections of the games and not just all the games in total. To be honest, this graph here is just for show. It's not really one that I would use. The sort of ones that I would use are this one. This is all games again without using the big six. I like studying this market and I like trading on this market. And again, you can see here 31 to 40 minutes, just above 4%. So if the game is 0-0, I would trade the 2.5 goal market. I'll always go 2.5 goals above what the score is at the time. So say like if it was 1-0 in the run up to 30 minutes, if a goal had been scored, I would trade the 3.5 goal market. Again, the mathematics of it gives you a competitive advantage, I feel. Here, 31 to 40 minutes is just above 4%, whereas, that's nearly 4 times less than the 61 to 70 minute market, which is trading which is going currently at above 16%. Why would you trade the gold market in here as opposed to here? If you trade it here, you've seen this data, then you're a little bit mad. This is the one to trade. In the second half, you could look at the 81 to 90 minutes, especially if the game is a low scoring game. Maybe that one will be worth doing, but to me it's a 31 to 40 minutes. Okay, they're my findings so far. Did a trade tonight on Everton Watford in the League Cup. Felt that Everton, playing at home, had a better chance of scoring first. With the bank that I had, 80% went on Everton to win on the win market, and 20% of it went on the 0-0 to back any losses if there was no goal scored. And it was 0-0 at half time, so I traded out then for a profit. Basically closed out my Everton and closed out the 0-0, and the 0-0 was substantially higher than the loss on Everton. So overall, I made a decent profit of, let's have a look, compared to the bank, about 15-16%. So I'm happy with that. Okay. Please comment, say what you think, what you feel about what it is that I'm doing. I'm beginning to get, this is the 3rd month I've done this now, I'm beginning to get some more views, developing my presence on Twitter as well as YouTube, and after Christmas I'll look at maybe going onto Instagram as well. But please subscribe, please comment, say what you think, say what you feel. Do you like what I'm doing? Don't you like what I'm doing? Are there any other graphs that you would like to see? And we'll go from there. Okay, but in the meantime, happy trading, and remember to look out for things that happen more often than not. Okay, see you soon.